Streaming bandwidth provided by Worship Channels. Visit them online at worshipchannels.com. On today's Tech Help for Churches, I don't trust Twitter, Facebook, or Google, and what the church can learn from that. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Tech Help for Churches. Tech Help for Churches records live every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific here in the U.S. I don't know off the top of my head what it is GMT, but you can do the math from there. Just Google it like I do and everyone else does nowadays. So if you'd like to respond back to this podcast, feel free to email Paul at trinitydigitalmedia.com. Leave a voicemail, 1-877-763-3246 or 1-877-POD-ECHO. And join the live stream. As I said, every Monday at 11 a.m. You can join the live chat just like Rusty is right now. Hi, Rusty. And so we'll go from there. Let me go ahead, and if this recording takes well, I will have all the contact information up in the lower third as you're watching it. So, let's talk about trust today, shall we? There are a lot of services that I use online, and some of them I just don't trust them. And I wish I did. I want to trust them, but they've done things that have violated my trust. And of course, this isn't about me. This is just something that I've noticed and something that I don't like. It seems like at Facebook there is a culture of what can we get away with? Now, if you've been on Facebook, maybe you've noticed this, that they'll make a change and then it won't go over well and then they'll back off a little. And then they'll make another change and then it won't go well and they'll back off a little. And it's like they have in their mind an ideal world where Facebook can collect all this information from you and you won't mind whatsoever. And anytime someone, for whatever reason, doesn't want their information collected, Facebook apologizes, but it feels half-hearted. Let's go to another example. Twitter. I love Twitter. I like to say I literally wrote the book on using Twitter for the church because I wrote The Tweeting Church. Well, I love Twitter. I've got over 15,000 Twitter followers. I understand Twitter. Mostly. And here's what I mean. Twitter has this thing that they're doing right now. They, when they started, they didn't have a lot of features. It was a very simple service. And so they invited third-party developers to build Twitter clients for them. The @reply, the DM, all those things were not originally built into Twitter, but they were added by people that didn't work for the service. And then they just grew. Well, nowadays, every time Twitter changes something, it seems like that what they're doing is they're taking away ability for third-party developers to build things to make Twitter better. They're taking away the ability to add new people. So you can build a Twitter client and you can have up to 100,000 users. Now, to you and me, 100,000 sounds like a lot. But if you're charging $1 or $5 or $10 for your app, 100,000 users, one-time fee, that's not a business model. So that's not very good at all. Whereas initially there was no limit. Recently there's been a change that affects how you do things, in that it used to be that third-party services could auto follow back on Twitter. So as you would get a new follower, you could just automatically follow them back. You didn't have to go back into your settings and manually follow back new people. Well, Twitter's gotten rid of that. It used to be the case that a person could follow a bunch of people and then unfollow them. Well, Twitter's gotten rid of that. And why that matters, at least to me, is that's part of how I meet new people. Is I follow them, and if they don't want to follow me, they're not interested, no harm, no foul. I'm not hurt, but I like to move on. And if they're not following me, I just unfollow them and move on. But I don't do this one at a time. I do it in big groups. So it makes it harder for me. And it seems like Twitter is all about, okay, how can we make this only easier for ourselves? Third example, Google just killed Google Reader. Now, I'll admit there weren't a billion people using Google Reader, but there was a bit of an outcry, a backlash, if you would have it, against Google for killing Google Reader. Now, I didn't feel like this when they killed Google Wave. I didn't feel like this when they killed Google Buzz. There are a lot of services that absolutely no one used. And all of a sudden, they went away. Well, that makes perfect sense. Reader's different, though. It had a very strong and very devoted following. And since it was better than some of the competition and remarkably freer, then a lot of the competition went away. And it almost felt like Google created something to destroy all the competition and then pulled the rug out from under us. So here I am, and I'm in a bit of a quandary. Some of the things Twitter is doing makes it harder for me to use them. That's fine. That's their business. They can do what they want. But the next question is, where do I go from there? Do I go to Facebook, which feels like, oh, they're always trying to get more information, trying to sell that, trying to do things that people don't want them to do? Or do I go to Google+? I like Google+. I think I'm starting to understand how it works. So I like that idea. But they killed Reader. Now, I really don't think they're going to kill Google+. But then again, I didn't think they were going to kill Google Reader. So that's a problem. So the reason that I bring all this up is what you do on your church's website can have similar effects. It's not all about me, but I might be a typical user in that as you redesign your website, you might say, well, no one uses this, and you pull it out. Well, that's fine if it's true that no one uses it. But what if you have a very strong, devoted following for this one feature of your website? Now, if you have to redesign, I suggest that you kill things quickly, not slowly over time, and each time something changes, people think, oh, is my favorite thing the next thing to die? I suggest that you don't change the rules. And by that I mean, when Facebook first started, the rules were all your information was safe, all your information was private. Don't worry about adding it because it's all safe and private. Now, by default, they're trying to change that to where it's not. So think about that from your church's website perspective. As maybe you're adding an online directory component, and you tell your people, okay, it's all going to be safe, it's all going to be private. Don't pull the rug out from under them and say, oh, we've decided that we can get more hits on our website if we add a little bit of your information out where everyone can see it. Well, that's changing what you said you were going to do. I think there's another component here of trust online, and that's design. Now, people might think, well, if it's important, the design shouldn't matter. But that's not true at all. If something is important, we dress it up in good design. So I think it's kind of like the clothes you wear. If you go to a wedding, unless it's a very casual wedding, you dress up, not because you're saying I'm pretending to be more important than I am, but you're giving respect to the event. Likewise, when you go online, you dress up your church's message in a well-designed website, not because you're trying to hide who you are, but because your content is important enough that you want to show that off. So those are just some lessons that I've learned from these services, and I think that it's kind of important that we don't make the same mistakes in the church. You see, we've got a very important message. Lives and eternities change based on what we do, what we say, and we could just capriciously change things. And I'm not against change, I love change. But we need to do it with intentionality, not slowly killing things until people think, wait, is one of the core ministries of the church the next to go? Is the children's program on the block? What about the youth program? Of course, those are probably safe things that wouldn't be killed. But if you need to pare back your ministry, you should do it quickly and with plenty of communication, as opposed to slowly every few months saying, oh, something else is dead, something else is dead, something else is dead, until people go, uh-oh. I think like I said, we need to dress up our content in good design. We need to care enough about it to keep it up to style, because what was well designed in the 70s seems antiquated in the 80s. What's really cool in the 90s seems old hat in the early 2000s. So keep that in mind as well. And when we're going online, let's remember, as part of what we do, to always make a decision based on how can I maintain trust with people and treat them like they really, really matter, as opposed to treating them just like numbers or just like eyeballs. So keep that stuff in mind until next week, and that's how we'll go out and change eternity.